Hey guys, and welcome to the Igloo today, and today is going to be a different type of video, especially when it comes to my personal take to what a actual open world survival game should be when it comes to a few different parts that you can add. And I'm going to be using a few different game examples, but mainly because my core for right now is just open world survival. I would say Fallout 76 as the newest media that you would actually see compared to other medias in the past, like DayZ Standalone and a few other things. So there's going to be needing a lot of parts that are to this that actually make a very great survival game. And one of the things that I personally love is the psychosis behind people. So Maslow's law for what you can actually see for a hierarchy is one of the big things that you need to have, especially for happiness when it comes to maintaining like just self-actualization of what you are pertaining to and your fulfillments as for your character that you're portraying. So let's say, for example, you make a Fallout character, you call him Mr. Sandman or what have you, and you want to make sure that he's really good and content and happy so that he has the best of all of his abilities, he's well fed, and he has all that kind of stuff. Well, Mr. Sandman definitely has everything fulfilled as long as he doesn't get a lot of diseases. Now, Fallout 76 is more forgiving than other video games when it comes to diseases, where DayZ will just right out kill you for dysentery. And just like with Rust, where if you get too cold, you die, and it's very simple mechanics. But again, it goes down to just Maslow's hierarchy, because it's the self-actualization that you actually need to pertain to when it comes to having the well-being of your character. So another thing that you want to have, especially, is that you want to have a complex damage system when it comes to it. Now, when I say damage, when it comes to a game that's like Fallout 76, where damage can be additive, multiplicative, and given with like chems and all this other stuff, what I say is that it can be very diverse when it comes to movement, but at the same time it needs to have a balance, something that Fallout 76 does not have when it comes to PvP and the survival mode. But when it's adventure mode, it's okay, because in adventure mode, a lot of things that are meant to be portrayed is that you are meant to be as a narrator going through a environment. Because single player is definitely different from multiplayer experiences when it comes to a damage output and a health system, because normally you don't want to take that much damage, but you want to dish out a lot of damage. See, Fallout 76 flips the script on this in a lot of ways, because you can do a lot of damage, but you have a moderate amount of health. But because of the multiplicative and additive properties that you have towards like a certain standpoint, is that what you get is this effect that you can one-shot, two-shot players, and some crazy stuff in the bounty system. And unless you have like certain legendaries and certain perks when it comes to a lot of things, you can become unkillable in other regards because of the amount of absorption that your character can portray. Even though it shows that the health goes down immediately, but it doesn't really kill everybody, that's another issue. So we're going to go to an ecosystem. Now, what Fallout 76 does is that it has a wide variety of AI when it comes to its ecosystem. Yes, they did forget the NPCs. That would be part of the ecosystem that you'd be having as non-playable characters. But the other thing that you need to focus on, especially in the survival mode part of this, is that you're going to need to see, what can I kill? What can I make? What can I discover? What does this give? What did this give? What is the reward system that you get for killing a Deathclaw? Gears and some meat, and maybe you can make a Deathclaw gauntlet if you want to have a Deathclaw gauntlet without any legendary mods. So this is where you have to be like, hey, maybe we want to actually see where we're going to be going with this so that we can actually use this in a future instance. Now, again, NPCs are a wide topic. It's not just human NPCs. It's also like the Yagwai that are out there in the world, just a random like Mothman that you would see or something like that, especially in Fallout 76. Maybe if there were fish, that'd be something completely different. But again, then you would be eating them, and then you would have different environments to where you would go and other things. Now, So let's go to a DayZ example. For instance, it creates an interesting mix of PvE and PvP because you have the zombies out there that can kill you in a zombie apocalypse, but at the same time, for what you fear more than zombies is the player. The player can kill you, one-shot you in the head with just a sporter and kill you with a 22 and making sure that you don't live at all. It can be that one flip of the coin that can be all that. And again, it's kind of like that when it comes to Fallout 76, but it's not. The reason why that it's not is that you have armor abilities and legendary effects that affect the amount of damage absorption that you can do in an environment. This is why it's very particular, especially in a multiplayer conflict-driven narrative like what they're doing in Survival Mode Beta, is that you need to have some form of counteraction, or if everybody's going to be one-shot, own it. Let everybody be one-shot. Like, take it out. But at the same time, this is why I personally think that Survival Mode should not include carry over stuff from legendaries. I've said this in many videos, but I wanted to just elaborate my point. Now, crafting and building inventories is probably where the game is pretty okay in when it comes to like the overall feel of it, because you can craft pretty much anything. You can't craft floating bases anymore. You can't do anything like that, but the bases I think are pretty weak when it comes to most of this because it scales your damage, as well as that there are perk cards that can make your bases even more destructible, so you can manipulate them even more. So I don't really like that there's a card that can manipulate that, but at the same time, you should have a strong base structure. Now, what game really does well when it comes to this is Rust, and it takes a lot to destroy a stone wall, a steel wall, a armored wall. And it does take a lot for you to get into so that you can actually battle it out and do it else. But then it became later on where it became more evasive when it came to the amount of resources and upkeep that Rust needs to maintain that game. So going back to Fallout 76, the inventory system is still dated, but at the same time, there's a few different mods that are out there. If you're on the PC, not console players, that can manage it and mitigate it in different ways to be a little bit easier. But it's not like you can just go through everything and you have 15 bajillion weapons or anything else like that. They got rid of that after they had the 1,500 overweight cap. So one of my final points that I want to bring out, and this is one that I want to have in particular, is that the uncertain relationships. Now, part of what makes survival, like at DayZ, Rust, or anything else like that, is the uncertainty, the unknown. When you would encounter the next person, is that person going to shoot you or is he going to talk to you? Now, in the main majority of my aspects, 9 times out of 10, most of my relationships that I would be so-called having are to hunt people or to be hunted. And most people, they won't give you a second chance. They'll just one-shot you. If you talk to them and you go right next to them or you do anything like that and you have anything of value to you, they'll probably just shoot you, or they see that you have a chameleon on. They'll just figure out where your mic push to talk is, because at the same time, I don't like it that you have, while you're invisible, now this is the most annoying part for me, is that while you're invisible, you have a big gigantic fucking arrow on top of you and you can't be properly invisible. Same thing with the radar that's on the map. If you are within line of sight of them and you're crouching and you're invisible, they can still see you on the radar. This is very, very bad when it comes to, especially if you want to stay hidden, you want to assess your environment, your situation, so that you can go around. Very bad move on Bethesda's part, especially because it's just a direct port from the adventure mode. Again, it's just something that grinds my gears, especially for what I see, because I've seen so many games do better when it comes to this. Even though I do like Fallout 76, at the same time, I still get annoyed on the survival mode stuff. And in particular, it drives my gears just a little bit. So what I would prefer is that you would be invisible, you would not be seen on the compass, and you would not be seen on the radar, and you would not be seen with a gigantic arrow over your head while you're invisible, which is the most funniest shit that I can fucking think of. And as you can tell, it kind of irritates me when you're invisible and you have a gigantic goddamn arrow over your head. But I digress. So, there's also the other things that you would do is that, like, maybe you would have that conflict of interest. Maybe he's luring you into a trap or a bait situation. Trap bases were very important, especially in Rust, where they are that little thing where they put a lot of effort and work into it just to kill that one person that one time, and just to have that satisfaction that, aha, I trapped you, this is my base, yes, indubitably. That kind of stuff. And I love that so many times. I've tricked so many people in DayZ staying alone because I thought that they would try to be friends with me, and then my squad mate would be around the corner of the ambush and then just shoot him in the head. I've had so many instances that it's happened like that, where again, it's a lot of fun when you get it to work, but at the same time, I've had it personally done to me as well, and then I felt betrayed, and then I'm just like, am I going to make any friends at all at this game? And then I question and I put my doubt in, but then I go and play the game again because that unknown, that little bit of unknown, and this is why a lot of survival games have done so well in the past, is that little bit of unknown, that one instance, that one conflict. Maybe you gave him some food and then you saw him later on and then he killed you, or maybe he saved your life, or maybe he was trying to help you out and then he saw a different situation. Who knows? Like, in a PvP environment, you never know who's going to be nice around the corner and who's going to be the dickbag that's going to be having god tier armor inside Fallout 76. Okay, this is one important thing out of many that you can be seeing, especially in this day and age when it comes to surviving a survival server. Now, again, it's very comprehensive. You got to make sure all the elements work together in your favor. Now, unlike other ones where they had hardcore modes that were really difficult when it came to surviving, especially in the recent updates of DayZ, where you would die if you don't find water within like 10 minutes, and it was brutal. And then when you found water, it was great. You finally got off the beach and you actually survived. Like Fallout 76, you can have like full way of getting away from health, and then a full way of getting away from any water. And as soon as you die, like, you respawn. What do you lose? Your junk in adventure mode, and then in survival mode, you lose some aid and some junk if you just die from the environments. You don't lose caps, you just die. So again, it's not really super hard, but at the same time, again, the whole point is that it is your neighbor. It is the person that is on the server. And on Fallout 76, it is the person that is on the leaderboard, the person that has the bounty, the person that is hunting the players of the skull markers, the person that is actually going around trying to find every single instance that you have. Okay, no matter what, okay? And this is why I try to love my survival games. I understand my survival games. As a person that I've had 5,000 hours in DayZ standalone. I have about 2,000 hours in the DayZ Arma 2 mod. Okay, I have only 500 hours in Rust. Again, Rust is not my game. Same thing with Ark. It's not really my game. Conan Exiles, I have 3,000 hours, and it was the bigger thing before Fallout 76 that I personally love because it gave me that conflict. It gave me that feel. It gave me that want to play again, over and over again on that same night. And just having that feel back when I have that one thing happen or I outsmarted that player, not with stats or anything else like that, but it's that outsmart. Like, if everybody had the same stats and the same armaments and everything else, Fallout 76 would be completely different, and what you would be seeing, because everything would be the same, let's say, for example, it was only damage. Damage was flat across the board. Everything was flat across the board. You know what people would be wearing? They'd be wearing power armor. They'd be wearing the T-51B power armor because that has the best overall protection when it comes to having a build, and they would build around having power armor, and they would have these fights in power armor if all these other effects and everything else was taken out of the equation, because you would be seeing so many more people be competitive, and you would see different diversities of fighting. Like you would be having one person as the sniper build. Maybe you might need to have the strength plus evasive plus a few other things when it comes to it. But power armor overall, if we don't take legendary mods into effect when it comes to armor, you would then go to power armor because you have the ability to have maximum absorption on top of everything else because you're able to craft the mod for the reactive armor, making sure that you can take as much as you can based on the assessment of what you have. That would be the go-to armor if that would be the thing in survival mode. And then it would actually appeal to people that this would be damage in survival mode. And if they actually did scale damage properly to the effect that you would be seeing, this would be a whole nother thing. So this is my personal way of saying how to fix like the survival mode stuff. And with the knowledge that I've had with the 5 things that I've known for what a survival game is, and for just being so deeply ingrained into me from all my other games that I've played, I understand that the subject is a very sought after, and balance is one of the biggest things that I know for a survival game. And I already know that Fallout 76 survival game has no balance. There's no way for balance whatsoever. To be fair, I die. I'm going to die because I don't have the pieces in order to match together and be good about it. Now, the preferred combo, I think it's like 3 pieces of Assassin Sentinel, 1 piece of Unyielding, 1 piece of Cloaking when it comes to everything else. And you either have it in Sentinel or Cavalier or some combination of in between. Now, you can't have full Assassin. You can't have like all this other stuff. But at the same time, again, it's the combinations that really drive you home. Maybe you're rocking maximum damage absorption and you're doing dodgy, so you have to have a fully automatic weapon in order to get rid of their dodgy ability, to drain all their AP first before you just start carpet bombing into them, because it's part of that process as well. So again, like it really blends into it. So if you have dodgy with reactive as a power armor user, it becomes very viable with some sunshine oil. So again, I've had personal instances that people have taken more than multiple shots with a 2-shot explosive or something like that in power armor with full perception cards and everything. So again, it's viable, but at the same time, do I think it's fair for most people in a survival PvP setting to have god tier legendary stuff and it's for that? No. It doesn't make a fun overall experience. It just makes a griefing experience that personally I've witnessed as well as I've seen and done in different ways. I'm not going to lie to people that I was griefing at other points because I have to learn the mechanics. I have to give you guys presentable information. And then at the same time, I got to tell you guys how I feel about it on top of everything else. Not because of trying to feel entitled or whatever the hell else, but it's to understand the environments for people that don't put in 5, 6, 10 hours a day into the video games like this, because not everybody that plays Fallout 76 or any type of Fallout game has the time to sit down and be like, look, we're going to crunch the numbers for you and get everything else done, because that's not how like people work. People have jobs, people have to do this kind of stuff, and it comes down to that. Like, not everybody's going to devote their life into video games unless, like, you try to make a career for it or you try to have fun with it or you have a problem in your life. I've played with many players that have disabilities and they can't work. So they have a lot of fun in their video games, and it really brings my heart up when at least they have a media to communicate with people so that they can improve themselves, or just to have something that passes the time so that they can get better, or they're hurt or something like that. I've seen plenty of players like that just give me that time or something like that, or they make it into a family experience and have fun with it. Now, I wouldn't be saying that for every game. Again, not every game has that kind of charm, but some games do. Like Minecraft has. It was labeled as a survival game because technically it is, but at the same time, most people can disagree with me with that as a builder game. But there's different modes to Minecraft, which is a whole nother subject. Again, if you guys like this kind of content, I just wanted to tell you guys personally on how I think survival games are, and then just my sense to what should happen and what can happen, especially in these beta modes. Again, I personally like this as a video game. You guys might like it too. It's not for everybody's cup of tea. And again, some people even said to me that this game with the bugs is like wine for some people, but at the same time, I can disagree when it comes to PvP survival mode. I can see for adventure mode where their bugs are, but you can't do that in a survival mode. If those bugs correlate into the same kind of category as in the charm of Fallout 76, like, I would strongly disagree. If you guys like it, like, comment. If you really like my stuff, there's a Patreon down below. If you'd like to join the discussion, there's also a Discord as well. Have a good one, guys.